What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the episode of the Get It Right Saturday Night Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Francis, here with Colin Fursley
Hey, what's up?
and Oscar Morale.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We have a good one for you today, so let's get right into it, guys. What do you
Yep,
say?
so Super Bowl 58 was just this past weekend. So we're gonna dedicate this entire episode to just talking about the game because it was a great game. And I feel like there's a lot to say about it. So,
Very controversial stuff happened
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
exactly. So, let's start off with before the game. What did we do before the game? We made our predictions last episode. So, I'll start off with Marco because he's not here. But he said the Chiefs are gonna win by a score of 17-14, so very low scoring. And he had Travis Kelce winning Super Bowl MVP. So obviously that did not happen. The Chiefs won, so good on him. The score was a little low. It started off as a very you know,
Marco probably had the best prediction out of us, or at least if it wasn't for overtime.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
If it wasn't for overtime, that score would have been pretty nice. It was 19-19, I believe. So it was not a bad guess. But he did get the winner, right, which is most important. Then Mark, you said, if you remember correctly, that the Niners were gonna win
Yep, it would
27
be
to
20,
21.
27-21, and I think I
Yep,
had
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey as my MVP.
Yep.
Would have been
So
nice to see.
the score was not terrible, but everything else was wrong. So,
Yeah,
and then Oscar, you also had the 49ers winning. You also had McCaffrey winning the MVP with a similar score of 28 to 24. So a little bit more, but
Yeah,
I mean, you were closer to the losing team score, but Mark was closer to the winning team score. So you guys are both right. And then I had the Chiefs winning with Mahomes winning the MVP, which he did. But my score was 24 to 17, so it was a little lower than what actually happened.
but that's
But
still pretty close. That's still pretty good.
yeah, so I mean, overall, we didn't do a terrible job. But I mean,
Yeah.
what did we say, bro? The Chiefs were gonna win. Come on now, you can't stop the Chiefs.
Well,
So
I mean, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later in the
if
pod.
I may say, this it's a very sad time because it's no more NFL football for the next 7 months. So
I
it's a
know.
very sad time for us fans, and
But that's not true,
this might
Mark.
be
You know,
one of
you
the
know,
last few podcasts we talk about football fully, unless when we get into free agency and all these different things that you see moves going on around the league.
yeah, but we'll there's other sports that
Yeah,
we will talk about and
but
that will fill up our time and our
definitely a
conversation.
great season. The script was written very well, so
Very good this
And
year, yeah.
yeah.
also, I don't know if there's gonna be much to talk about anyway, but the NFL Combine is in 2 weeks, which is crazy that it's in 2 weeks, but that is true. NFL Combine's
Well,
in two weeks.
definitely talk about the draft and all these different things upcoming.
Absolutely.
Star-studded class coming in.
What I am
Yeah.
excited for though is the NCAA, or I guess it's College Football 25, the video game that's coming out this summer. Very
Oh
excited
yeah,
for that. So
I'm
that should be
excited for
pretty
March
fun.
Madness.
I have a few at least comments on the game and the business model behind it, how I think it could be changed and bettered, but we'll get into that
Well,
later in the pod, right, Colin?
you want to talk about this episode or another time?
We can quickly go over it. I think it's
All right, then run it. Go right now.
all right, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, big news, like you guys said, the EA coming out with NCAA football game, college football game that is for the first time in 11 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the business model is just slightly off. I think I appreciate and I think it's a great idea that they're bringing and implementing this back, especially now that NIL deals are involved with these players and teams. Um, but I do think that their business model was slightly off. I mean, realistically, you're looking at this game and it's the exact same thing as Madden 24 or 25, whatever you're going to base the engine off, because it's made by the same developer, EA
Yeah, EA
Sports.
Sports.
And so basically, it's the same game, just with different rosters, different players, but the game itself, the fluidity, the mechanics, everything, just the image and likeness is different. So I believe I mean, I don't get paid millions of dollars to make these decisions, but I believe that if I were to release a project like this, I would do it as a very expansive DLC, maybe as a DLC to Madden 24 or DLC to Madden 25. Uh, you
Please
know,
explain for the viewers and myself what is the DLC. I don't know what that is.
so a DLC is downloadable content for a
Yeah.
video.
So
And
it's like an extension
sometimes
to a video game, basically.
right. And sometimes it'll be free, or sometimes you can pay for it. In this instance, probably charge $30, 25 to $30 would be a fair price. And I think you would also see a lot more sales from it. I mean, because people are already buying your video game, Madden 24, people buy the game. And so if you already have the
Yeah.
game, you'll probably be more inclined to spend the $30 on the DLC than buying a whole new game for your console or for your system. So I think just in a business aspect of it,
I could see
it
them
could have
doing
been
that.
handled differently because I feel like a full-fledged game won't receive as much commercial success um
So
as probably a DLC would.
So, so one thing about that is I think that's a great idea. I think the reason they are doing it as one game for right now, though, is because nostalgia sells, right?
Oh no,
The
of
people
course,
that are
absolutely.
talking about this and have been leaked about this for the last 2 years or whatever were the people that were our age and younger. That was their game uh, of their youth on their
For sure,
PS2s or
no.
their Xbox 360s.
Right, I
Um,
understand that completely,
I
Mark.
I definitely think they should do it a DLC, but I think a bigger thing they should do is bring back Madden Mobile. That was like the good Madden Mobile from like 2016. Like not
Yeah.
this weird thing that they have going on here.
Well,
Um,
well,
Okay,
if
wait,
you
hold on,
if
hold on,
you
hold on. So you're saying, Oscar, that it would be better if they just made it as an extension to Madden?
Right, because in essence, Colin, when you think about it, the game itself is made on the same engine. It's the exact same game. It's just the image and likeness. So the names of the players, the player models, maybe some
it's literally
stadiums.
Madden for college.
Yeah, but everything else about the game is the exact same as they have it developed for Madden. Like the game engine, the mechanics, the motions, the controls, the adaptability, the servers, like most of that will all be the exact same
Yeah,
for Madden.
it's literally Madden but named college. I mean
Right,
that's
of
literally
course.
it. I mean you see it in all these different video games happening all over. I mean it's the same thing with 2K basically, and all these sports games, NHL and UFC 4, they're all the same thing. They use similar player models, they use similar servers, they use similar design engines. I don't know if they use Unreal Engine or whatever, but they use all these different engines to create these games, and it's all the same thing.
No,
So.
absolutely. And I think if you really want to talk about, uh bigger idea and a broader how the business could be moving forward, um you could talk about maybe like what we've seen in some shooters slash battle royales. So where they have specifically like a game with a Halo Infinite. I know it necessarily doesn't have to do with sports, but just use like their platform for these sports games. So like these sports games are yearly releases. Madden, FIFA,
Yeah.
2K. It's slight improvements that when you take, for example, 2K15 and compare it to 2K23, yeah, you're going to see a big difference. But from 2K22 to 23, it's not that big of a difference. So I
Yeah.
believe what you could do is, have a platform for your games if you're a developer. So just have like a FIFA app, free to download. You could play online multiplayer maybe for free, and then you can unlock the rest of the game buying it regularly, and then you could have that DLC for the college implemented as well, and you buy that for $30, and you'll probably see a lot more, uh, interactions and commercial success doing it like that because the free to play model has been so successful in that industry. And if these sports gaming companies definitely want to tap into some of that revenue flow and into that market, that
I mean that's a
casual
very different
market.
market. That is a
Right,
very
but if you
different
want
market.
to
That's a
if you want
hard
to
transition to do for these companies for sure.
But if you want to transfer from that yearly release sale to be able to appeal to a broader casual, and of course we're talking about hypotheticals here,
Yeah.
bigger picture things.
Well,
This
I have a
probably
hypothetical as well,
isn't
which
very
I was thinking
realistic,
about.
but you can have just the FIFA app or the Madden app on your Xbox. You download that for free, and then from there, from the app on the inside, you can buy Madden 22, Madden 24, Madden, the college pack or however you want to do it, and you can have online multiplayer for free, or you can, I don't know, entice the consumer in some way, have some sort of gimmick where you still have that revenue flow, probably even more than you would on your uh, yearly releases, and you still have, these Ultimate Team uh, games and franchises. That will probably what's free because that brings in a lot of money and revenue through the pack system,
Well,
which
I
all
was
of these
going
games have.
to mention a specific game strategy that we saw companies doing. For example, Fortnite doing their little battle royale thing back, like bringing back the old stuff or whatever. I think that's a great way to entice the audience and the players to come back to these games that maybe are not doing great in this market currently. Uh, Maybe if they bring back a refurbished or revamped version of Madden 25, right? Or Madden 18 or Madden 16 or 14, which are some of the best games. Um, if they bring back those revamped versions and have them for a limited time in the specific Madden game, like how you were saying, in the specific Madden app, I think that's what would also sell very much because again,
Yeah,
nostalgia
absolutely, of
sells. I mean,
course.
you saw the peak in these Fortnite players playing. I mean, even I played, and I hadn't played this video game in 4 years.
Oh, I could say
Um,
the exact same thing about myself as well, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
nostalgia sells, and it revived this gaming company, this gaming realm that now has access to all these different broader aspects of video games like Rocket League and all these different companies. So
Yeah, but now you're
pretty
getting
interesting.
into even bigger and uncharted territories. It has
Yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do
yeah. 'Cause that's when you get into the
with.
big companies. But
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Well, anyway, now getting into the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs, they defeated the 49ers for the second time by a score of 25-22.
yeah,
So let's talk about it. The first half, the first quarter, as you can see, 0-0. It was going to be a low-scoring game. Christian McCaffrey fumbled on their first drive, but they were really rolling though on that first drive, huh?
yeah, they were.
hmm
Yeah,
They
Yeah,
they
definitely
they
kept
were.
were.
running it.
You could see
Yeah,
that they definitely had a game plan. They were executing it. They just had a mishap, and that's always very unfortunate to see, man.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. So
McCaffrey rolled through this Kansas City defense, man. He rolled through them.
yeah,
80.
especially in the first half, I don't
Yeah,
think they really gave him the ball that much the second half.
no,
It
they
was
didn't, which is kind
it
of
was interesting
stupid.
to see how I felt like Christian McCaffrey barely got the ball. Like at the end of the game, I was like, dang, they barely gave him the ball. And then I go and I check the stats. He has 22 carries and eight
He's
catches.
got yeah. He had 80 rushing yards. He had 160 total yards, right? Which is
Yep.
absolutely absurd for a
Yeah, and he
running
had
back.
30 touches, but it's crazy because all this happened in the first half. By the end of the game, you thought that he barely had the ball, and then
Yeah.
you go back and see that he had the
Well,
ball
granted,
for
this was actually I
30
think the
times.
fourth or fifth longest Super Bowls in history, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it should be the second, no,
Well, it was
longest because of
it,
overtime.
no, it should be the longest Super Bowl in terms of game time played. It was the longest.
I don't know. I saw something. I believe it was like the fourth or fifth longest. I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, maybe in real time, but in game
Yeah.
time, it was the longest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a it was a great Super Bowl. Travis Kelce was held for one catch, one reception through the first half. Sorry, I don't know what I just said. He had one catch for
One
one
catch
yard
for 1 yard. Yeah, for the
in the
first
first
half.
half, and then he turned it on in the second half. Was very reliable in clutch time, which is what Mahomes
Yeah,
needs him.
Exploded into the second half. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, for
Rasheed
sure. And
Rice also played great.
I
I
don't know if he played great. I don't think he really got the ball that much.
Isaiah Pacheco also not too bad.
I mean,
Rasheed Rice
clearly, what
6 catches.
what
Yeah,
we
he had
saw this
six
year,
receptions. So.
yeah, what we saw this year was just two evenly matched teams, high competition, high-powered teams
Oh
who were
yeah,
very good, very well trained, and knew what they were doing. And there's a reason these teams were tied at the end of regulation. I mean, these teams could both play defense when it mattered most and know how to bring the ball downfield to generate points.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether
And
it's whether it's have the best player in the league or have the best offensive system in the league, they got the job done. So I think wherein the controversy lies is clearly in overtime.
yeah,
I mean, props to McCaffrey for the first half, props to Kelsey for the second half. But where the real meat and potatoes of this game are is the coin flip and the decision that the 49ers made and how it all
Yeah.
affected the second half. I mean, the overtime. So
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
to start talking about that, Colin?
Yeah, so overtime, obviously, um, the rules, the Kansas City Chiefs changed the rules. So we all remember, in my opinion, what is the
Infamous. Yeah, infamous Buffalo Bills versus Kansas City game, divisional round.
Well, I mean, Buffalo Bills basically got the beating from the Kansas City Chiefs every time they faced off in overtime. Uh, so yeah, you know.
Yeah, I understand you, Mark, and I agree. It's been a pretty one-sided rivalry, especially in the postseason. So
It's it's interesting to say the least. Oh, looks like we've
yeah, for
having
sure.
some
I think
technical
we've
difficulties here
lost,
with
yeah,
Colin.
lost Colin. Some technical difficulties going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
all good, Colin.
I did not hear what you guys were saying, but
All good, all good.
yeah. So no, what I just wanted to say was so the Buffalo Bills game, Kansas City Chiefs. That's what changed the playoff overtime rules, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So what happened was for those who don't know. So and it's still the same in the regular season. The regular season is still the same, but if you in overtime, if whoever gets the ball first, if they score a touchdown on their opening drive, they win the game. It's sudden death. The other team
I
doesn't
don't.
even.
It's still like that in the regular season too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But what happened after that game, everyone was saying it's not fair. The Bills should have had the ball for at least one possession. So they changed the rules only for the playoffs, where now if a team scores a touchdown on their opening drive, then the other team still has a chance to
To
match it.
match it. Yeah.
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 So and now in this, so before, if you won the coin toss in overtime, you wanted to get the ball first because if you score a touchdown, the game's over.
Yeah.
But now with these new rules in the playoffs,
You
you want
definitely don't want the
You
ball
don't want the
first.
ball first.
exactly
because
now.
because although arguments can be sorry to cut you off, Colin, but although arguments can be made, for why you would want the ball first, at the end of the day, the very clear and cut reason that the correct choice is always now in the playoffs to receive the ball in this second is because of uncertainty. If you get the ball first, you don't know what you need to do to win. If you get the ball second, you will always know what you need to do to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now you can see
Exactly.
it both ways. So if the Niners had scored a touchdown, that would have helped the Niners in a sense because that would have put a lot of pressure on the Chiefs that to score a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Now the Chiefs could have still scored a touchdown because they have Patrick Mahomes, and then they could have gone for two, which could have helped them if
Well,
that was
they said well, I believe their game plan was
Chris
San
Jones, yeah,
Francisco, if they had scored the
yeah,
touchdown, they said they were, and then Kansas City responded with that touchdown. They said they're going for two.
yeah. That's
And
what I
I mean
mean. So
that's like, I mean, that is a
which
ballsy
just
move. That
Which,
is
yeah,
but
such a
either
ballsy
way, it
move.
just proves. Chris Jones says that was definitely the game plan, and that Coach
Yeah.
Reed had reviewed it with the players multiple times. Um, but either way, that just further goes to show why you would want the ball second in overtime,
Yeah,
is
of course.
because you do score that touchdown. Now you know exactly what you got to do to win.
Exactly.
Score two, you win. If you don't, I can live with that. I knew what I had to do to execute,
Or,
and I
or
didn't execute.
or your defense could just shut down the other team and then they never score at all, and all you have to do is kick a field goal. And kickers nowadays, they can kick a field goal from 50 yards
Oh,
out if they need to,
of course.
and then boom, game's over.
Especially Harrison Butker, who had
Oh, I
arguably the
mean,
game of his
he's
life. If
got a
it wasn't for
leg.
Travis Kelce, he had an argument for Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, Butker he's been one of the best kickers in the league for the past 5 or 6 years. I mean, that kid's
Of
got a
course.
leg, and
yeah, absolutely.
it's
And then
insane.
the other thing is that they basically gave the Chiefs four downs because they knew that they had to score points. So when they got down to that 4th and 1, they went for it. So they
Yeah,
gave the Chiefs four downs to four tries to go 10 yards. If the Chiefs had gotten the ball first and had that 4th and 1, they would have punted it because they had done that earlier in the game as well. The 49ers would have had the ball, and all they would have needed to score was a field goal, and they would have won. So that's another thing. I understand what Shane was saying that they wanted to have the ball third. That was the plan. If they
yeah.
scored first, then the Chiefs
But
scored
but
again.
in the game of football, you can't plan too ahead. You got to play for right now. You can't plan the
That's
fact that you're
true.
gonna score a touchdown and then you know that Kansas City's gonna score a touchdown because you don't know they can score that touchdown and go for two like they said, and there's
Yeah,
no way
it wasn't
Shanahan
bad
wasn't
then.
thinking about that. There's no
Yeah,
You
way.
know,
You
you
can't think
know,
about possession third. You got to think about what you want to do in that moment right now to
right
win the
now,
game. This is the
yeah,
biggest game of the year.
yeah. And the other
that's a
thing that was that made a lot of sense to me that I heard someone say was that if his plan was to go for the third score, then that means that he's saying that they're going to score touchdown on the first drive. So when it
Yeah,
was
but
which
that
they
also
didn't.
means
when they kicked the
they're
field
gonna
goal,
say they're gonna
why
go
didn't
for
they go for
two.
it? No, you didn't. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, which they didn't do, Colin. I agree with you. And as I feel, the only thing I would have to say, as a whole about the Super Bowls, man, I feel bad for Kyle Shanahan because he's been there and he was there last time during the overtime, the first ever overtime game too, as the offensive coordinator for the Falcons, and I feel
Mm,
bad for
yeah,
him because he's been so successful, but he just hasn't been able to get that ring, man. And but he has nobody to blame but himself, man.
yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think that was definitely the wrong decision to take there. And yeah,
Well, when your
he has nobody
players
to blame
don't
but
know
himself.
the overtime rules, then as a coach,
You
that
got a
is
problem
not a
there.
good
Yeah,
rep on yourself.
I agree.
In these games, these win or go home games, you gotta always expect the unexpected. Would we have expected the Chiefs and Niners to go to overtime? No. I mean, not really. No one expects it, right? But you have to expect unexpected because you never know when something could happen. You never know, like if what's San Francisco's kicker's name? Moody, Jake Moody. If
Yeah,
he
Jake
made
Moody,
that
he had
kick,
a great game. He had
if
a
if
great
if
game.
he made that one kick,
that's
the extra
mm,
point that wasn't blocked, then you could say that, oh, the Niners would be the Super Bowl winners, right? Because they would. But also, you can't you can't do that. You can't just assume that because of one decision. I mean, I heard people slandering Jake Moody because he missed the field goal. So what?
well, they would have
It's not
won if
on.
he did it. Like the
Well,
game
it
was
does. Okay, but you can't say that like that.
not
You can't just blame one player.
okay. I get that. Like other things in the game could have happened that would have made them win. But Mark, it's very cut and dry. If he makes the kick, they win the game. It's very simple. So you
If he
could
makes the kick, but he got blocked. Okay,
well
so
he got
Which is not his fault.
it,
Which is
it's not
not
now
his
now
fault.
now
wait
now
no
as
no
a
no
team, you have
Mark
to
if he
adjust.
didn't
Now as
no,
a team, you have to adjust.
okay if he would have missed the kick if it didn't get blocked. The reason it got blocked is because he kicked it so sideways that it
Yeah,
went
I
right.
know. I saw that. I saw that. I've
Okay,
seen the
so he
clips. I watched the game, bro. I watched the
okay
bowl.
so okay so if he would have made the kick, they would have won. So
Yeah,
in a sense, you could blame the game on him. You could.
but I mean, you could also say that let's say McCaffrey didn't fumble on that first drive, they would have gotten a field goal.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, Colin, you can make the case
Yeah,
for any of
you
those things.
can make the
I think,
same.
I think, I
Yeah.
think definitely the largest critique that you would have to give to the 49ers is just the decision they made in overtime, man, because
Yeah,
it puts that's a decision that puts yourself in a disadvantageous
Yeah.
like it puts yourself at a disadvantage,
yeah, of
Uh,
course.
so you never want to do that because all these other things that we're talking about, that's just execution, whether they did it or they didn't. Here, you're putting yourself in a hard position from the get-go, which makes it harder for you to execute, and you never want to do that. So, yeah, I think that's just the biggest gripe you can uh, have as a 49ers fan, and the
It was
biggest complaint, I guess you could throw towards the organization. But in all honesty, I mean, they competed very well. It's just you can't make decisions like that
yeah,
when these massive stakes are on the line.
definitely a good bowl.
For
For the
sure.
people that took the over on 47.5 total points, I'm sorry. Uh, Unfortunate. That's why I don't take the over. I always take the under. I always bet on black. But it's very interesting. I'm really excited to see how this 49ers team is gonna what they're gonna do this offseason. I believe they do have a couple of free agent star players that I'm curious what they're gonna do. And of course the Chiefs, Spagnola re-signed, great move. But they
I mean,
have a lot.
He's the reason they had this run.
Yeah,
If
and
without
of course.
Spagnuolo in that
But I
defense,
mean, man, they
there's
have
no
a
Kansas
lot
City
of really
Chiefs.
good players. Now they're going to be free agents. L'Jarius Sneed, for example, I mean, he played I mean, phenomenal this whole year when
Phenomenal.
they turned it around. But he's a free agent, so assuming this guy just went ballistics and popped off. Of course, there's the idea of the three-peat, being part of that dynasty of the first three-peat in the NFL or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. But these players they just did something big, especially on that defense, and I wouldn't be surprised you can expect them getting contracts from other teams, like the Eagles or the Lions. Some of these teams that have money, or maybe even just it's all going to depend on what these players want that are going to free agency. Even Chris
Chris
Jones.
Jones. Well,
Um,
he said he's gonna re-sign with them, so I'm
yeah,
sure
well,
he'll
so did
work
so
on
did
some
Kyrie with
contracts.
Boston, and that
Well,
guy
well,
never
well,
re-signed.
well.
But hey,
Two different players, two different types
yeah,
of
yeah.
players. Same thing.
I think Jones is gonna resign. I think he's gonna explore his options. So I think
No,
him and
man.
his
I
agent
think
are gonna.
I think he wants to resign. They're just gonna figure out what contract restructuring, contract negotiations they have to do. But I'm sure we'll see him in a Chiefs uniform again
I
next year.
think I think one thing I was talking about this with a few buddies of mine here. I think it'd be a good idea to restructure Mahomes' contract.
I mean,
He's
it's definitely happening. If maybe
he's
not this year, but
yeah.
after the end of next year for sure.
He's guaranteed so much money that they may not have enough cap space to get players or like just specific players that they would like. And I could see Mahomes taking a hit for however much guaranteed just so they could sign a player, or, someone like that. For example, Mike Evans. I mean, can you imagine Mike Evans at
Yeah, Mark, they already restructured
Chiefs?
his contract in September. So
When
they
did they do that?
September.
In September.
They might
But
do it again though.
yeah,
Well,
well, but yeah, he's definitely gonna have to take the Brady approach and not the Aaron Rodgers approach of getting a bit of a or the Dirk Nowitzki approach as well, just getting a bit of a pay cut check in order to
Yeah,
benefit the team. If he's really chasing that GOAT status, that's the approach you're gonna have to take, man.
yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
thanks for tuning in.
thank you guys for tuning into this
Been a
episode.
great pod.
Definitely a little on the shorter side, but
I think the viewers enjoy it more like that too,
I
a little
hope I
bit
hope the
more
viewers enjoy.
condensed.
Actually,
Yeah,
I would like to do something. So for all the viewers watching right now, leave a comment on things you would like us to talk about in upcoming episodes. If anything catches your eye that maybe we should start to do more research on, sports or leagues or anything like that, place a comment below. Let us know what we should probably invest in, take a look into. And let us know if you like what time duration you guys like your episodes. I mean,
yeah.
however long you guys enjoy them. But
And we're gonna
yeah,
try to incorporate like clips of segments soon in the future too,
yeah, of
So
course we're
if you only want to watch a certain part of the pod or you're only interested in a certain topic,
and
we'll try to see if we
definitely
can separate our segments, put them into clips and post them individually maybe in the future. So
and
yeah, like
definitely
Mark
gonna
said,
make some social media for the GIRSN podcast.
right,
Probably a TikTok, some Instagrams,
for sure
something like that.
us know in the comments if any of
Yeah,
you would like and what you would like to see in the future, how you would like to see us change our approach towards recording our content. So
absolutely.
sign us out, Mark.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Get It Right Saturday Night podcast. We hope you guys get it right every Saturday night. You bet we are. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace.
See you guys.